This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Philly Sports Guy show. Today is Monday, July 18th, and we had a big weekend of Philly sports that happened. Let's get right to it. We're going to start with the Fightins. We're talking about the Fightins. The Fightins decide after going to Toronto and losing 4 games straight. The we lost the last 2 games within the St. Louis series, then lost 2 up at Toronto. We go down to Miami, where Miami has always been, for at least the last 10, 11 years, has just had our number, and the Phillies go to town on the Marlins. Starting off with Friday, they face arguably the best pitcher in the National League, who was on a 25 inning uh, shutout streak. And the Phillies stop that cold. They decide that they're going to get a couple doubles and win that game 2-1. And that was just the start. So that's our Friday. We're like, okay, they win this game. They beat the best pitcher. Let's get into Saturday. Let's see if they can actually win this series, because the Marlins, like I said, have always played the Phillies really tough. They have just been able to do things that we just cannot seem to beat them, even though they may be stinking out loud for the last few years. When the Phillies would go to town or they'd come into Philadelphia, they would just take care of business. But the Phillies do not let this happen this time around. They go on Saturday and they win that game 10-0. 10-0. Bats come out of flying. Everybody's hitting the ball. Everybody hits. Woohoo! And they just take care of business on Saturday. And then we go for Sunday. We're like, all right, maybe, let's see if it's possible to get a sweep going into the All-Star break. And they blank the Marlins again 4-0. Bringing out the brooms, sweeping Miami for the very first time since 2010. And they do it in great fashion, outscoring the Marlins 16-1. 3-game series, 1 run scored. That is a lot. That, like I said, that is not something that you see typical of the Phillies for a couple of reasons. One, the defense has been like I say all year long, it's been questionable to say the least. And then it's like, okay, I kind of expect that we were going to win games 10-8 and things like that, but even the pitching, the bullpen and the pitching was superb this weekend. Starting off against Alcantara, who is, like I said, he is quite possibly the best pitcher in the National League, if not all of baseball. And to have a really good game thrown by Gibson, he threw for 6 innings, only let up the one earned run, 5 Ks. Alcantara went 8 innings. Like I said, struck out 12, but he did give up those 2 earned runs. Sir Anthony Dominguez gets the save in that Friday game. Notables for that game: Derek Hall gets the double, gets the first RBI, and breaks the streak of shutout innings initially, and then right behind him, Real Muto comes in with another double and actually scores. Hall takes that, and that was the game win. That proved to be the game winner, and literally the pitching just shut everybody down after that. So it was really a great outing by the Phillies, who were on a 4-game losing streak, who had just lost with Wheeler the night before, or 2 days before. So it really was something that needed to come about. And maybe you could say that Real Muto was just well rested, because he was on fire. He was on fire. He has not had a really good season, but in this series, he didn't go up to Toronto, so he had a couple days off. Well, he used those days off to fix whatever was ailing him, because he had a fantastic series. Here is Real Muto's line for the Miami Marlins series. He went 6 for 11, 1 home run, 3 doubles, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored. Now, I obviously you can only hit in who's in front of you, and he's batting. Derek Hall was there, I think, and then they had somebody else on the fourth spot, probably Castellanos was batting fourth, and he just had a fantastic series. Uh, and then, of course, on that Saturday game, everybody was hitting doubles and home runs. It was one of those games where the bats just came alive. They really were crushing it. I was watching that game, and where I was at, they were also showing the Cleveland uh, Guardians game, and they were also winning. Both games ended 10-0. Interestingly enough, they were playing the Tigers, the Guardians. Marlins are actually, arguably in the fight for a wild card spot here. So losing games was, not something that they were really thinking. They actually thought that maybe they could catch some ground on the Phillies. It was not to be happening. The notables for this game: Derek Hall had 2 hits, 2 runs scored. Real Muto went 2 for 4 on that 10. Schwarber had his 29th home run. Guy, just getting all primed up, ready for this home run derby. Going to see if he's going to dethrone the winner of the last 2. It, it's not Lindor. It's the other guy. Who cares? It's not a really big deal with this home run derby. I'm not the biggest fan of these things, but if he could dethrone a Met, I'm happy with that. So 29 home runs, leads the National League. So that was a solo shot. Rhys Hoskins also with a home run that day. Who else was hitting home runs? You had Schwarber. Didi broke his cherry. He finally gets on the board in the home run department. He actually had a pretty good series too. Stolen base in the series, home run, 4 RBIs in this game. Yeah, I think it was a 3-run home run that he hit there. Rhys Hoskins and JT also with the home runs for that day. The doubles for that day: Stott had 2, Real Muto had 1, Castellanos had 1, Derek Hall had 1. So literally, they did great. And Ranger Suarez, who was pulled a little early in this game, I'm not sure why, but had 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 runs, 4 strikeouts, and 0 walks. I mean, did pretty well. I mean, and then Bellotti comes in, and I tell you, Bellotti, I think that he's probably one of the better guys in our bullpen. Bellotti, Brogdon, Nelson, and Romero round everything out and shut out the Marlins in that game, 10-0. So here it is. We're up 12-1 going into Sunday, and then Sunday happens, and we come out, and it was, initially you wonder, like, are they going to be able to do this? Is anything going to occur? The bats seem a little quiet to start the game off, and Aaron Nola probably pitches one of his best games of the year. And I don't know why. Again, they pulled him in the ninth inning. He only got 8 in the third. And then they brought him in for the save. So I'm sure he had probably two guys on. I didn't catch the very, very end of this game because I was in the middle of doing some other things. I'll get into that for a little bit later. I'll do a little teaser for later and, for the show tomorrow because I was driving at Pocono Raceway on Sunday. So catching the game was a little bit tougher for me, but it doesn't matter. The Phillies were in to win 4-0 in that. They scored all their runs in the fourth inning. Again, Aaron Nola had 8.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, 10 strikeouts with 1 walk. So he was just, again, pitching lights out as he knows how to. One of those things that occurs. Schwarber, behind the home run, did not have a great series against the Marlins. He had a number of strikeouts. I want to say he went 0 for 4 on that day, and I'm not trying to poo-poo this, but he went 1 for 5 the day before, and I want to make sure I got this right because we know that he's going to strike out a lot. Yeah, he had 4 Ks. He went 0 for 4 in Miami, so 0 for 4, 1 for 5, and 0 for 4 with 8 strikeouts. So that's not, 8 out of 13 at bats. He did get the 1 home run, but just, he has not, he didn't have a really good series in Miami. Luckily, they did not need him to do so. They had other guys picking up the pace for that. But getting struck out 4 times by Alcantara. Alcantara is, like I said, he's arguably one of the best pitchers in the major leagues, but they were able to take care of business. So now we go into the All-Star break. Obviously, the Phillies had 2 players that were selected to the Hall of Fame. One really serious snub. There could have been 2 snubs. You could have said Aaron Nola may have deserved to go. Obviously, his winning win and loss record isn't the greatest, mostly because he just gets no run support typically. But uh, Wheeler with it was an 8-4 now 8-5 record, 2.53 ERA, definitely deserved to be there. He was in the top 5, and they just said no. And he did not want to be on the list that said, hey, if you can't make it, let's send Wheeler. He's like, no, if I ain't going, if I wasn't selected, I ain't going. End of story. And there you have it. So Wheeler does not go to the All-Star game. We do have Schwarber, who's going to represent Philadelphia. And Harper was also selected. Obviously, he is on the DL, so he will not be attending. The home run derby is today. I know that they have the entire thing all figured out. They're like, okay, this is who's going to go up against who. I know that in round 1, your Schwarber, the Schwarberian, goes up against who is the number 1 seed, goes up against the number 8 seed, and that would be one Albert Pujols. And I'll be honest, I really don't care about the home run derby. Truth of the matter is that I kind of hope that Schwarber doesn't make it out of the first round. I don't want him screwing up his swing. I want him to be able to just continue to do the things that he's been doing at the plate right now. There's just too many stories of when players go and they get into the home run derby and all of a sudden their swing is screwed up for the rest of the season. Do not want to see that happen. We are going to need Schwarber playing real games, hitting real home runs in real time, not in a home run derby. It is nice that he was invited. It's nice that he's going to go there and he gets in, he gets the number 1 seed. However, I really do not want to see him get hurt, or 2, change his swing for anything just to be able to hit yard. I hope he just is able to do what he does, and we'll be able to go from there. So, but my expectation is that he will put on a pretty good show. He should get past, Albert Pujols without any problems. But if he doesn't, it's no real skin off of anything, me, because I would much prefer him to actually play real games and not worry about the All-Star break. All right, let's get. I'm going to go to a commercial break really quickly, and then we will be back to finish up on the sports because there was a draft yesterday, and we're only going to touch on it briefly because there is no sports today. So talking tomorrow, we're going to need to find some things to talk about, but we're going to touch briefly on the draft, and then we'll get into all the specifics tomorrow. But in the meantime, let's stay tuned for these commercial messages.
The Hometown Foundation is excited to bring back the Dream Ride experience, August 26th to the 28th at Connecticut's Farmington Polo Club. Join us in celebrating the accomplishments of our Dream Riders while enjoying live music, a car and motorcycle show, family fun zone, pet adoptions, canine demonstrations, the Fireman's Chili Cook-Off, and much, much more. Get your tickets today.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guess any.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Wait, no, you gotta get me at the random. I'm not prepared.
What a wonderful world. They're really saying I love you. What a wonderful.
What's up, everybody? It's the Philly Sports Guy here with Philly Sports Trips. And, we're going to Houston this year. And I got a couple Houston fans right here just to say, and I want to know, are you guys ready for the Bird Gang to go to Houston? So what are we going to do when we get to Houston? We're going to melt the humidity. The Eagles will just be picking the carcasses of the Texans. Well, listen, we'll see you this NFL season. Go Birds! Yeah!
And we are back. And just like I said, there was a couple of commercials there from Philly Sports Trips. If you want to go on any one of those trips, go to phillysportstrips.com/TPSG. We go everywhere, all the Eagles games, a lot of Phillies games, some Flyers, some Sixers, the Union. We're doing it all. And you could go and travel with us. Like I said, Philly Sports Trips. And you could also get the Philly Sports Guy experience, which means you could go to a game with me do the things that I do, hit the tailgates, go to the game, paint your face if you want to. We can get your face all painted up. You get to see the game through my eyes, and it really is an amazing experience. So if you want the opportunity, again, phillysportstrips.com/TPSG, and just say that you want the Philly Sports Guy experience, and we can go from there. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about what was going on. There was a draft that happened yesterday, and a couple of names that really kind of struck out. Matt Holliday's kid, Jackson Holliday, selected first overall by the Orioles. So good for him. I know that he's got some big shoes to fill over there. So it's obviously when your father is Matt Holliday, he was a great player. Jackson, number one. So we'll see how that works out. Kumar Rocker, the guy from Vanderbilt. The third pick overall by the Rangers. I think that they're going to try to get him to start, put him in AAA, and he might be up before the end of this season. I know that college is not the pro game, but they are more ready when they come out of college than anything else. The Phillies chose 17, and I'll go into a little bit more specifics. They chose Justin Crawford, who was an outfielder from Bishop Gorman High School. And like I said, it was a good pick. They needed something, they needed some people there. They did they pick anywhere else? They did not have any other picks, not compensatory or anything of the like. So there was just the 17th pick. Like I said, it was a good draft. They got more rounds today. I think they got, I think that there's 20 rounds in total. They really go spend a lot of time there. So they're going to be drafting the guy. Obviously, we're not going to see this kid for a little while. He's going to be in the system. Hopefully, he can get up here in 3 or 4 years. But he was out of high school. And we'll get over some of his stats and what are some of his tools that he has going into tomorrow. There was another Philadelphia team that played yesterday, or not yesterday. They played on Saturday, and it was a fairly big game for them. Let's get over here. It's betting scores, and the Philadelphia Union took on the New England Revolution. The Revolution is not having the best of seasons. They've got 6 wins, 7 losses, 7 draws. But, they have been a perennial thorn in the Union side. You always play the Union very tough. They did score the first goal in this game. They wound up scoring in the 61st minute, down 1-0. And the next thing you know, the Union come back fighting, and they have 2 goals scored in under 5 minutes, one from Uri and one from Gazdag on a penalty kick. That actually gives them the win. The Union now are 10 wins, 9 draws, and 2 losses, and that is good for 39 points and first place in the Eastern Conference. They are prime after that 7-0 win that they did to DC, which I felt was a big statement game. They needed to be able to say, hey, we are back and we are here. It really needed, that kind of propelled them to do well. I feel that this is going to be a big playoff run, and this is big for Jim Curtin here. I know that Jim Curtin is getting some play. He's getting some interest from teams overseas. It's rare when a U.S. coach gets any interest from European squads, but they're looking at him, and he's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. He's a local guy. He's Philly born and bred. I met him briefly at the Preston and Steve show. And it was funny because I had gone to the Flyers game the night before, and I was all painted up in Flyers. And he introduced. He says, "Hi, I'm Jim Curtin." I saw you yesterday at the Flyers game. Me and my son were all excited to kind of see you. So it's awesome to see you in Union colors today. It really is a down to earth guy, fantastic coach, and as really like I said last year should have been our year. We were kind of prime ready to go, and then wound up with 9 guys hurt or with COVID, and they continued to play that game. They actually battled to extra time, and then of course NYCFC wound up winning that game in penalty kicks. And then wound up winning again in the finals. So they wound up taking home the MLS Cup last year. I feel that this year is not going to be the same problem. We are not going to get struck with COVID this year. We are not going to be able to let up. They're going to have the foot on the gas, and I think it's on there now. They are going full throttle to the rest of this season. They're going to start getting hot, and they're going to get into the playoffs. I expect that the Union is going to really make a deep run and maybe, just maybe, win their first MLS Cup. Soccer franchises are defined by how many trophies they have, and could be the first one for the Union this year. So let's see. We'll see how that turns out. But as of right now, they did take care of business, and there we go. And now the other team that I want to mention briefly, as we are, just about to close up here, the Philadelphia Phoenix clinch a playoff berth. They wind up going into Toronto and winning this game. Let's see. I know that they were up there. They traveled to Toronto and 25-23. So it was on Saturday night at 7:00. If you haven't had a chance to find out, this is Ultimate Frisbee. And they play just on the other side of Citizens Bank Park. And I am going to be going to the game on Friday. So yes, instead of going to the Phillies game, I am going to go see the Philadelphia Phoenix take on who are they actually playing? I want to make sure because I think it's their rival, New York, the New York Empire, and that New York Empire is 11-0, and the Phoenix are 5-5. So, but they are in a playoff. They got into the playoffs. They clinched a playoff spot. So it will be interesting to see if we are able to take a bite out of New York. I am going to be at this game. If you are interested in going, you can go to the AUDL.com/Phoenix. If you Google the Philadelphia Phoenix, you'll be able to see exactly what they're doing. And I said that there was going to be a new flavor of the Philly Sports Guy, and the Phoenix is the owners of it. So we're going to see the Philadelphia Phoenix Philly Sports Guy there on Friday going up against our rivals up in New York, the New York Empire. And I hope to see a bunch of you guys out there. Come root it on. It really is a fast-paced game. They score points left and right. Like I said, I've been watching these games, and it was a really close game against DC. The DC Breeze, we lost 25-24. The Phoenix went 25-23 in this last game, and I expect that there's going to be a lot of scoring in this New York, the Phoenix versus the Empire. So that's going to wrap up our show for today. There's not a lot of sports happening, so if you like the Home Run Derby, watch that. Or tonight you could decide to watch the NFC East show, which will be showing live on my channels. You can find it on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch. We do it all, and you're going to find it right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. So please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or download Roku and download that Northeast Streaming Sports app where we give you sports with some attitude and personality. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, And as always, let's go Philly. Yeah. Everybody have a great week, and I'll see you tomorrow.